Hello. Right. So welcome to the Teletext Dugout, where we got David Walford, Technical Director, working away at the moment. He's now going to hover over and use a ZXNET Editor.
Yeah, the web address is kind of important. Could you?
Okay, it's blockparty.zxnet.co.uk.
Okay, so.
Okay.
Right.
So what we've got opened up at the moment is the main GUI, and what our David is doing at the moment is using the cursor keys to navigate that cursor down, and it is a true emulation, but it was a proper editor of teletext. So what David's doing is he's actually coding each byte.
I'm out of position there. I thought I was on the left column.
Well, so he thought it was on the left column, so that's the first cock up. But
let's put the grid on. That helps.
Yep. So there's various different tools you can use the grid, so that gives you a good chance on aligning things. And at the moment we're typing in "Hello World," but you notice that there's no attribute that needed to be coded for that. So that's what we call sort of like it's not blast through, is it? But this is just alphanumeric. And it will default normally to white text.
Yep, you can add colours in with the control codes.
So what we're going to do now is going to skip in just before that hello world, and he's going to change the colour.
What colour though?
Or what colour? Shall we have hands up for magenta? No, cayenne.
No one likes magenta.
That's it. We'll have a bit of cayenne, so I think it's going to be F5 or something. Yeah, that's it. So, and that's gone to graphics. So,
sorry,
shock! He's picked.
Shift.
It's a disaster. He's picked the graphics magenta, not the alpha magenta AM, as you can see there.
Sorry, that's terrible for contrast. I'm going to go for green instead.
Go for green. And you probably notice actually on a lot of the CFAX pages, they all alternate between green and blue to get their message across, or white and blue, because some colours work best on these backgrounds. So graphic design was always half the battle with a teletext setup. So yeah, we've gone there. Now I'm just trying to figure out what he's going to do now.
Yeah, got any ideas?
Right, I think, well, it's Cambridge, isn't it? So we need a boat. So always getting the final.
I normally look at the screen when I'm drawing, so you have to guide me a bit here.
Okay, Stevie. Right.
Okay. What colour?
Okay, so we'll.
Nice sign.
Well, I'm going to open this out now. We need a boat colour. Can anybody put their hand up?
It's got to be blue, hasn't it? It's got to be a blue boat if it's Cambridge.
It's got to be blue. It's got to be a blue boat. Always getting a final. No one laughed at it the first time. I'll keep saying it until it's done. Now, what we're doing is we're getting full blocks up here at the moment, and he's probably using the space bar or the F to fill them in, and he's making a huge blob of cayenne. He's going to whittle it out with nibbles. Yeah.
Can I introduce the background colours now?
You can introduce background colours.
Just save my fingers a bit of work. So the default, every page begins with a black background, but you can pick any of the 7 colours: red, green, blue, cyan. Help me, Carl.
Magenta.
I spend all my time on the Alex spectrum, and I've just
white and black, actually, if you're level 1.5 and above.
What 1 to 7? That's the way to remember.
Sorry, Alistair. So did I say something wrong? Huh? Oh, he's making it up as he goes along. It's 1.5. No.
Yeah, we'll do level 2.5 later, a lot later. So
yeah, that's 11 o'clock tonight.
Right. Okay. So there should. You've missed the good bit.
What have I missed?
Yeah, you've missed the magic.
Oh, right, okay, so now we've got new background in there. So let me see, that's going to go cayenne, new background. Oh, is that new background?
Yep, that's new background.
Yeah, but you haven't new background it to anything yet, have you? So it's not going to change until you give it another instruction?
That's the water.
That's the water. So all this that can be done online, and you see that enormous hash at the top of the address bar, the ZX blockparty.zxnet URL, and that hash actually is changing every time an attribute's being changed on the page. So you don't have to store these on the computer. You can just store the address in a notepad file or in your browser. So you can come back to it, or you can share that page with anyone else, and anyone else can do it. And I'd like to really chat to someone about NFT so they can understand what the hell it is for me. But you know, when you've got your own hash on that, I guess that's some form of NFT, because that sort of belongs to you, and you can share it with whoever you want to share it with. But if anybody does know about NFT, please come up and tug my hand now and take this microphone, because I don't have a clue. Anybody know about NFT? National Film Theatre. Everyone's sharing it on Twitter. So
I think it's a way of making money off other people, isn't it?
Oh right, okay. So how does that work?
Well, you convince them it's worth something, or might be worth even more tomorrow, and you get them to buy it.
Right, and there's been some teletext grifted already, isn't there, where the people have actually...
No danger of that with this one.
Well, we don't know yet. So, okay, so what we've got now is the... you see the NB bytes being coded, then we've gone and changed that to graphics white. So what's happening now is that graphics white is actually going over the first cayenne instruction. And I think are we getting Ripley waves? Is this like a...
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, there you go, Ripley waves. So it's a rough day on the Thames.
What's the water quality like round here?
Well, it tastes quite nice in the bottles. We've got Elmhurst Spring.
Yeah, just wondering if it's a little too pristine, or is that...
That's quite choppy, that's like a Force 9 blowing across there, isn't it? So
okay, my fingers are getting tired. Time to show another code.
That's it.
There's a handy guide along that side of the screen which tells you what the keys do.
Yep, just behind David's head there's a thing there, but it's very versatile. You can also, something else that you can actually just click on those letters. So if you wanted steady flash, you'd actually hover the mouse over that, and I think you can actually click on it, and that will do exactly the same as the keyboard input. So you can do it that way as well. I don't know if anyone's actually used this editor on a mobile phone at all. Ah, we have. Can I come over and have a look?
It's not really a mobile phone, it's a microphone.
Oh right.
It looks like a phone, it's actually a little Linux computer.
Oh, I see. So is that like the John Connor thing that would go in the like an Atari Falcon?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, we'll come to you for some taxi fare later then.
Okay.
Oh, so you've gone for, was that Kill background there, KB?
That's the default black background.
Yeah.
Yes, setting the background colours is a bit strange. You have to pick the foreground colour first, then tell it make that the background colour. So if you want to set the foreground and the background colours, you actually need 3 character spaces. So as you'll see later on, a characteristic of a lot of teletext art, unless it's in monochrome, is you'll have this thick black outline where colours change. So that's where it comes from, just trying to fit the control codes into the gaps. So
Yeah.
at the moment I'm just making a bit of space to put the boat in. So
That's it. You've got to make room for Oxford's boat as well. Am I allowed to say Oxford in Cambridge? Is it not allowed? Is it like asterisked out? One thing about the borders that you see on some very colourful cartoon artwork that you might see displayed on Twitter, there's some very good exponents of that. Steve Horsenberger.
Steve Horsley, yeah.
Yeah, Steve Horsley. We've nicknamed his artwork Horse and Borders because that's where he does all his magic. So you'll get a big bold colour, then you'll get a nothingness, and that's where all his instructions are going in for the next colour. And the finished work you can see on these screens here, when we get to a horse and border sort of work, it's very cartoony, and it's excellent. It really is impressive.
Yeah, shame he's not here today, really.
Yes. Has he got any plans to come up, or is he not able to make it?
Bit of a trek for him, unfortunately. So
Is he the West Country, or is that no? It's
down in Plymouth. So
Plymouth.
sadly, just a bit too far. 'Cause with work on Monday as well, it's not wise an 8-hour drive. And
no. Well, the next one will have to be down there at some point to spread the to distribute it evenly. So it's actually quite interesting to see the artwork scrolling next to what David's doing at the moment, because you can get to see the various different techniques.
You can get to see how it's done properly, for example.
Well, that's how they all start. From little acorns, great oaks grow. But the real teletext comes from up here in the head, because you know it really is sort of like an art form that gives you, through great limitation, you can get some really impressive effects. If you've got something like, I don't know, Microsoft Paint, or what was the thing that used to be on the Amiga, Deluxe Paint or something like that, you could do anything you like, and there was just so much there, you didn't really know where to start. So with a limited palette, you can use, you can get an idea into fruition a lot quicker. So that's not... Is that the sort of thing they row in the final, is it? Is it the boat race one, is it? So what are we going to... Or is this a Mort Smith cruise ship?
Yes, let's say it's a Mort Smith cruise ship.
It's a Mort Smith cruise ship. So Mort Smith...
That sounds intentional.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll run with that one.
So hello to Mort, wherever you are, hopefully watching this at some point. It was really good to see him at one of the last dues that we had here. But... he's one of the exponents of... Oh, Jason, yes? He's coming tomorrow. That's brilliant. Excellent. That's good, because I could use my line that I wrote for that. So it's like Tim Berners-Lee, the main inventor of the internet, for the want of a better term. When he goes to bed, he wears Mort Smith pyjamas, because without Mort Smith, we wouldn't really have computer awareness. So that's the way that he is to teletext what Berners-Lee would be to the internet in teletext circles. So it'd be really good to see him again. Oh, it's a longboat.
Is it?
Is it a longboat? Does it look like some Vikings going to jump off it at any second?
Yeah, you'll have to do the interpreting, because I don't really know what I'm doing myself. So
it looks all right. It definitely looks like a boat. And
no, the mast is out of position.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not very nautical, so I couldn't really tell you there.
Yeah, this is a high quality drawing here.
It's very good. Look, Hagar the Horrible's going to jump off it in a minute.
How does sales work again?
Wind.
Yeah, that's... Does that count as a bit of wind, do you think? Or?
I thought it looked more like it's making the sail bow out, so it's actually quite good to leave it in there. It looks like the seam marks, like of a huge spinnaker ballooning out across the open ocean of the cam.
How about some blast through alphanumerics?
Right, so for the uninitiated, that is basically writing in caps lock across graphic encoded bytes.
Okay, we need a name for this boat.
Right, okay.
Keep it clean, please.
Okay, so a name for the ship, and I'll be quiet for 5 seconds while someone comes up with one.
Okay.
What are we going with?
Probably need to change the colours. That's not going to show up too well.
That won't. No, you need a sort of a yellow there, really. Or so when the byte changes, obviously it changes all the junk after it. So should we try and get him to do some whole graphics in a minute? We'll do a bit of stunt work.
No, you're just being mean.
So at the moment we've got the showing SS adequate. We've got the character codes being shown. So when they are clicked to disappear, they will disappear and then leave a blank spot, unless you're using the hold graphic. It's lucky we've got all day for the hold graphic. You don't know what you're letting yourself in for. Don't forget the UK label. It's changed now. It was GB. It's a UK label now. If that's going sailing across to another country.
Yeah, could you come and add that on in a moment, maybe?
Okay.
I've run out of space for that, I think.
We can make your boat longer. That's what I tend to do.
Okay. I'm going to turn the control codes off now so you can witness the full glory.
Okay. Now we'll get the clapometer on. We need a
That's clap with an L.
clapometer. There you go. What do you think of that then? There's a round of applause there for the Teletext Masterclass coming at you, Cambridge 22.
We didn't plan for this at all, did we?
No, zero planning. Hello world. Hello Cambridge. SS adequate Britain. That's not too bad. I think what we could do with though is, do you want to put horse and border in underneath the boat to the sea?
Well, I just think it needs a little something.
Needs a bit of whole graphics. That's what it needs.
Just needs to better reflect the.
So another trick you can do with this is dither. The king of dither is in the corner there. That's Alistair, who won't turn round. But the king of dithering, he does some really good dithered pictures. So you can actually go across, and I think it's press D or R, and then you can get. Can you do that?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Separated graphics.
No. We not. Oh yeah, you could do separate graphics. No. What's the dither? Can you do dither? Press D. See what happens.
Okay.
Yeah. Press R. Oh, it goes the other way. So you can go DR.
Half tone.
There you go. And then the other thing that David's doing now is he's twiddling the twixels.
Oh yes. There. So it's a 2x3 grid within each cell. Probably helps if I turn the grid back on. So you can, if you've got a numpad, you can use 7, 8, 4, 5 and 1, 2 to twiddle those pixels directly. Or you can use Q, W, A, Z, X.
If you're a gamer.
You'll soon get used to it. It's quite intuitive. Yeah, a bit separated graphics then maybe.
Okay, so separated graphics, that's where you can get more sort of definition. So if you put that in, they will become, well, I call it segregated graphics, which is always, which I got pulled up on. So there you go.
Yep, so it's still a 2x3 pixel grid, but just the pixels are a little bit smaller.
And you notice that always the middle ones, that's not an optical illusion. They are fatter, aren't they, Peter?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
One extra pixel.
1 extra pixel. So is that to balance up the? Otherwise there'd be a gap at the bottom, wouldn't there? I guess.
It's just fitting graphics into a character grid. They couldn't do it.
That's it. And the term sixel was I never really heard about until the last block party, and then I think one of the demo guys that did Bad Apple was mentioning sixels. I think that's how I got to use that term. Is it? Yeah. So you wrote that. Yeah. Oh no, that's good. It's a sixels. That's really good though. Now, I was thinking of any snacks, teletext inspired snacks. You got the bar 6. Just trying to think of can anyone think of any teletext inspired snacks that we could have for lunch? Double height decker, thank you, Jason. Lovely. You got anything, David, at all?
I've got a sore neck.
Sore neck. That's it. Oh, what's the green for? Is there a tree? Is it being attacked by a tree?
Yeah, it works at Bob Ross, so.
We need a palm tree.
Now, this is where I hit a problem with the colour codes, because it would be nice to have the palm tree overlapping the sail, but that means there's going to be two colours in one space, so not quite sure how I'm going to approach that. So
Try and get it to overlap on the whole graphic, but then how do you segregate then hold? There we go. Perfect.
Thank you.
That's level 3.5 teletext there.
Orange.
Orange,
no,
yes.
No, orange, invalid colour.
Do we not like orange? It's a legal colour.
Yeah.
It's not legal.
So yes, this is where the characteristic thick black outline around colour changes is going to emerge.
Now, the birth of the first horse and burger. Horse and border, rather. Still thinking about these snacks.
Yeah. Did you mention that Steve was actually a teletext artist?
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's quite important. You should probably.
He's a really nice person. That's what I was thinking. But yeah, his job was at Teletext. He used to work with Paul Rose and work in various other departments as well for the artwork. And so, you know, the work that he does is sort of breathtaking. He does have his own Patreon as well, so that's always worth a look. He does a lot of pop culture stuff.
I've misaligned my stump. I've misaligned my stump, so...
Your stump?
Yeah, it might be a moment fixing that.
I was thinking about cricket then.
Bob Ross didn't have all these silent pauses on his programme, did he?
Bob Ross did. He did let happy accidents. There you go. He would do a lovely bit of artwork and then just smash a tree right through it with a 8-inch paint roller, didn't he? Go, there you go. That's lovely. We did have a really good Bob Ross on one of our Discord ones, actually. I think Dan, who can't be here today, he's still up in Wigan, and we'll say hello to Dan. We miss him because he does a better job of this than me, but he can't get down today, but hopefully he'll be watching a lot of this. And
head in the hands.
Yeah, head in hands. But Dan is a really good artist, and he did a really good Bob Ross, and he managed to get he looked exactly like Bob Ross, and at the end you could just see online the pixel moving around his hands. And then one went like that, and then the other one went like that, and that was the teletext page, and it was really quite funny. Oh, we got a rogue A there. Oh, it's changed now.
Yeah, fixed it. Do you think we can persuade anyone to pop up for a little interview now?
I think we can.
Do you think we've warmed the room up enough, or?
Yeah.
There's not too many nervous glances, so.
Good questions. So Jason is asking, how do we get this page onto the server?
Yes.
Yes, that is a question. Oh, hello, Alistair.
Hi, Alistair.
That's it.
No, good move, Carl. You've got Alistair up here. He's going to have to talk to us now.
Pay attention, Bond.
Okay. Hello. Would you like to take a wireless microphone?
Click save this page.
No, he's
Stuff's still not working.
Oh right, okay. It's just dry. It's just bedding in.
Okay. Did that do it?
Has that happened? So it's click save this page, and now Alistair is by the CRT, and he's gone to page 232, and it's scrolling through, and there we go.
Hooray!
Oh, round of applause for everyone there. That's absolutely brilliant. Well, I hope that will be entered in tomorrow's contest.
In the novices category, maybe.
novices. You're a bit of a dark
Ah,
horse there.
Tony has a question. Hello.
Tim.
How similar is this process to how you would have done it back in the day? What was the editors and the tools you would have used?
Does anyone want to answer that?
Peter probably knows. I've heard a little bit from Ian Irving as well.
They used offline editors. Obviously, the web wasn't invented at the time. So the company I worked for, called MRG Systems, had a truly awful editor. But once you mastered it, you could make all your pages, edit them. And when you're ready, you click the publish button, and it would get copied from your working directory into an on-air folder, and a scheduler would send it to the inserter. And the inserter was a box that was usually at the transmission end, and it would add the page to the outgoing signal. It would embed it onto the top of the video. So, like the BBC, we didn't do theirs, but I did the ITV one, and so somebody in HTV could do a page, and then they could send it via a virtual RS-232 link to Carlton in London and Plymouth and wherever, and that was how the pages got out.
So you wouldn't have used a kind of WYSIWYG editor like this?
There's no such thing as WYSIWYG in teletext. I call it a WYGIWYG, because what you get is what you get, because you really can't see what it's going to look like while you're editing it, because you can't see the control codes. Once you get rid of the control codes, you're not sure quite how to edit it, because you don't know what you can mess around with. But there were editors. I think the oldest ones were, some of the oldest ones were actually on the BBC Micro, because they used Mode 7, so you could design the pages and then send them to the inserter. In the days before PCs, and you just had dumb terminals, there was I think the earliest Softel ones, they actually took a line off the inserter when you could edit that line, and then it would send it straight back, so you didn't even store the page anywhere. That was the limitations of the early days. But then along came better editors. There was a company called Fab in Germany, and MRG had its Minited editor, probably the worst editor in the world, but it's the only one they had, and it was 16-bit, ran on Windows 3.1, so that was what they used.
So doing graphics like this must have been quite challenging back in the day.
Well, you could still see what you were doing. You probably didn't have a mouse, and by all accounts, the people who did these graphics, they knew exactly which button to press to get which pixel.
Yes, if I can just interrupt briefly, there is actually a mouse draw function in the editor, but you will find that the keyboard's the more natural way to do it.
Yes, even Minited Editor had a mouse drawing feature, but it was completely useless because because unless you've put the control codes in exactly the right place, it's going to pop up with letters and odd bits and pieces. So all of these editors that we've got now, there are quite a few online ones. I wrote one called Mutley, the multi-user teletext live editing environment, and there's the Edit TF, which a lot of people use because it's simple, and Alistair's, which is probably the most advanced online editor. So he's got some level 2.5 features which the others don't have. But yes, all the old editors, they would have tended to be a bit of Windows application that you loaded and ran. And when you're ready, you press the publish button. So, back to you.
Okay. That's quite good timing because I've got some whole graphics inspiration now.
Oh, right, okay. Well, thank you very much for the for the answer there on that. And
Yeah,
thanks
thank you,
very much
Peter.
for the
We'll
question. Cheers.
hear more from you at 3 o'clock, so looking forward to that. Yep.
Wow.
If you're staying for the weekend, you will notice that our style is repetition. So
If you're here for the whole weekend, you'll know. Jacob's clock crackers. It's another food.
What about Twixels?
Twixels, thank you. Yeah, oh, we're rolling now. Okay, rolling.
keep going. I'm just going to twiddle with the trunk before getting onto the whole graphics.
Oh,
So
yes, okay. So what is your whole graphics challenge? What is in the mind? What is in your mind?
Here's a question for you.
Right.
Where do you think I'm going to deploy them? Which line?
Oh, the whole graphics. I think he's going to put them down on the first bit of the sale. Would that be right?
Yeah, you've cracked it.
Ah.
Would you like to explain what whole graphics are?
Okay, so I don't know. I just use them. I think it's
They're like NFTs.
Everything's like NFTs. So the hold graphic is a little. It can be a very good trick to save you having a blank bit before you can change one feature into another. But it has an added limitation as well because it replicates the previous byte. So if you're going to change here from white to green and it's in graphics, the placement of the hold byte is quite important because if you then nibble a sixel in the white bit, the green bit will then nibble as well at exactly the same place. So it works really well for some graphics and it works terribly for others. Now on the Discord group, there are challenges where people do want to put text where it, like a graphics, like a Coca-Cola logo or something with curly writing, and they want it going across a white bit of the moon into the blue bit of the sky and all that, and they can actually pull this off with hold graphics. There's some really excellent examples of it, and what we'll try and do is we'll try and get some up on the screen to show you, how it can be done, because it is witchcraft.
Okay, got a simple one going there. So
Okay.
right, so top line of the sale, I've just dropped a whole graphic in where it says H. So annoyingly, you need to turn the control codes off to see them actually work. So if I turn those off, you'll see the difference on what happens in the transition from the white sail to the green palm tree. On the rows below, there's just a plain control code, change to green. That takes up an entire space, fills it with the background colour. With the whole code in, it's just repeating what was in the previous cell instead. So, and you can also see on the right hand side, I've had to compromise on putting the segregated graphics back on, and you can see the palm tree's gone a bit weird at the edge, so that when it's changing to the white colour, it's actually repeating the previous cell with that bottom right pixel nibbled out. Now, in fact, if I change that pixel in that cell, it affects the next one along there. So
you find that if you're doing like a cityscape, a very crude cityscape, it works quite well because you can knock a pixel out and then it replicates across and they sort of look like windows. So if you imagine the game like Blitz with the skyscrapers going down, it'll work really well for that. But if you're trying to do something like a face or a car or something like that, it doesn't look right because you put that in and you knock the pixel out and it just goes across.
yeah, it's quite attractive at first, but you're basically creating a nightmare for yourself as you box yourself into a control code corner trying to get your colour transitions just right. So approach with caution.
Yes, they're like lies. The more that you lay, you'll be in trouble right at the end. That's not bad though, it's looking good.
Yeah, that's Vaguely approaching adequate.
Well, the palm tree looks a bit drippy. It looks like it's a splat.
Well, it's a hot day.
Yeah, it's a melting tree.
Yeah, just tidy up those separated graphics a bit.
Segregated graphics. Separated or segregated?
I'm going to pretend this is some shading on the sails now to hide up the transition a little.
It doesn't look like anything that's won the boat race though, does it? Looks good. So we're holding there.
Yep.
Okay, so that's then going to do what? I'm trying to figure that out. And then you're going to go 2 along.
Yep. Just going to turn off segregated graphics before the palm tree.
Going to unsegregate them.
Yeah, work that down the side of the sail a bit.
It. End of apartheid. Oh.
Right. Okay, let's pop one in there. Good, that works. Move it back. Move it back one.
So I've just thought of something else that we want. Do we want someone waving hello out the boat with a flash graphic? I think we do.
You're
We've
welcome.
got all day.
Yeah, you're welcome to add one.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of an ergonomic nightmare here, so my abilities are somewhat restricted.
You're doing very well to actually see this without eyes in the back of your head.
Yeah, just need them to move independently from the mouth and I'll be fine. So. I should have taken those radio mics, lapel mics. That would have solved one of the problems at least. So.
That's it. So.
These? No.
No.
They're just for showing.
What are they? Oh, they are fluffies, aren't they? So the most popular bit of artwork on Teletext is the palm tree. And we have a palm tree fully inflated 3D version at Peter's desk there. We've had various palm tree competitions in the past, and it tends to be the same winners. But it does link back to the palm trees that you would have seen on the Teletext holidays or CFAX holidays, as you often see it in parlance on social media. So everybody remembers using CFAX holidays to buy their holidays now. So it's a nice bit where perhaps something not quite right is now right.
Yeah, you're right about the melting palm tree. It's just got worse with that change, hasn't it?
That's like a Dali, isn't it?
Yeah. Abstract. That's a get out. It's an abstract.
It's an Amstrad. It's not that long.
Yeah, you're a ZX Spectrum boy, weren't you?
Yeah, I was the ZX Spectrum boy. Yeah, I was just looking though at the Amstrad stuff, like as I do now when I see things. It's sort of like, were we led to the playground wars on a lie? Because there was some really dead good stuff on the Amstrad when it wasn't ported from the Spectrum. But that's a little bit of 8-bit there. Well, it's probably for another weekend.
Yep, Tony's brought his Dragon 32s here, so...
He's unleashed the dragon. He's about to let the dragon out. Da 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 da. It's a black one as well.
I thought there was some cheering there. But
We're trying to find the palm tree.
Oh right, okay. We've got a palm tree thing. So how are we operating this to look for a palm tree, then, sir?
Yeah, can you remember the page?
No, I think because we lost the holiday service provider, I think the page has been orphaned somewhere.
Oh dear. So basically we're using John's Telstar service here, which is a kind of emulation of the 80s Prestel service. These machines here think they're connected to Presto over the phone lines. They're not. There's a bunch of Raspberry Pis and some gizmos over there that are creating a kind of phone network for these things to dial into. somewhere in John's service, we did actually have the palm tree page from Teletext. We can't find it. So we're having a...
Well, that's a loss that we need to probably get her back.
The people that's providing the holiday information,
Oh, I see.
their feed disappeared, so the page with the palm tree.
We would have gone with that.
That's why I can't get to it.
Yeah, that's it. So, with the Telstar version, would you be able to tell us just a little bit about that at the moment? To
I might have to hand over to John.
yes, of course. Okay. Well,
Yeah. Would you like to join us at the front?
yes, you must.
Yeah,
We can set you up on a mic.
Yep. Grab a microphone and I'll twiddle the levels until something happens.
Is this working?
It
Yeah.
will be.
Yeah.
Try it now.
Well, obviously I've not prepared anything. I came here as a visitor.
That's okay. You're in good company.
But I suppose about 5 years ago or something like that, maybe a bit more, I decided to learn a bit about asynchronous programming with Python for my trouble. And the obvious way to do that was to have some kind of network service where lots of people connect to it and so on. And kind of found I'd accidentally invented Telstar, really. So I thought I'd add a bit of colour, and view data was the way to do that. And I was interested in Presto stuff back in the day. And so we ended up with this sort of Telstar service, really. Telstar, the name goes back to the 1980s. In the very early 80s, there was a bulletin board. I used to work for the post office, telephones, and used to be able to buy old equipment, for £2 plus VAT. I bought a rack of modems, and I was told that I was never connecting them to a telephone line. This was before BT and deregulation, of course, and obviously worried about my job. Wasn't. The first thing I did was connect it to a telephone line, and a friend of mine called Terry Slater wrote the software for the bulletin board system. Well, as I mentioned to Tony earlier, T Slater is an anagram of Telstar, and that's what gave us the name. So when I was working on my asynchronous code, I realised I built another Telstar. So sort of added a bit. Oh, you found oh no, it's a weather page. Yeah, okay. So it kind of developed from that, and I bought a Prism modem for a Spectrum, which I had. You could buy them for £1 at the time because nobody knew what to do with them. And I got it working with Telstar, and was quite proud of this. I told everybody, and then tried to buy another Prism modem, and they're now £35. So I shot myself in the foot, really. And I guess it reminded me of the time when we first had the first bulletin board system. We needed some disk drives, which cost the earth. And somebody gave me a 35-track drive, which I put on my BBC. And obviously it was stepping too far, and noticed there was a bit of aluminium on the disk drive stopping it. So I got the hacksaw out, cut the end off, and had myself a 40-track drive, which was great. And then found some source code for a formatter, and it wasn't hard to hack that to become a 35-track formatter for the BBC Micro. And then suddenly couldn't afford any disk drives because somebody had discovered there was a 35-track formatter for a disk for the BBC. So I shot myself in the foot again. Telstar that's Telstar 1 we're looking at there. That's written in Python. It's running on Docker containers on a cloud server somewhere, well, quite close to Baynard House, because that's obviously where one of the main Presto computers was, so I thought that was quite nice. What can I say about it, really? It's a view data service. The data from it comes from RSS feeds and things like that, and some web scraping and a few bits and bobs. And those services are quickly disappearing, and then some pop up again. So every now and then we'll find the news is a bit out of date because the Daily Mail has took off their RSS or Express or whatever, and then I complain and put them back on again. So I'm working on ways to get data into it in a better way that's maybe not reliant on RSS. So I'd be interested to talk to you guys about how you get your news items onto your teletext pages and so on. That'd be great. The new version is written in Go. There's lots of ways to create pages. Pages are stored in JSON format, and that's quite handy, really, because it's great for programming and creating them programmatically. It also means you can edit them and text, with a text editor. It will take an edit TF or a ZXNet Editor URL. You can plug that in the JSON, and it'll just render it. All of those pages you're looking at there. Well, not all of them, but the weather page there was written in edit TF. Copy the URL, pop it in the JSON, and it will do the transformation for you on the fly. The word culture up there is alpha graphics, which people may recognise from those days. in the JSON, you just put a bit of markup and tell it you want the word culture, and it'll print it in alpha graphics, and it does the justification and all that sort of stuff. So there's a few kind of treats in there. There's an API for it, of which I've written a utility, so you can log on to it using this utility and upload your JSON and so on.
Are the control codes exactly the same as
Well, they are and they're not. Yes, they are. The character set is clearly the same. The difference is that we're streaming this data.
Yeah.
So it's also 7-bit. Even parity teletext tends to be 8-bit. You're using all of the codes for various things, and I think the control codes are used. Sorry, the ASCII control codes are used. That space is used for teletext stuff. So we're using more like an ASCII. It's not quite, but it's like an ASCII. So for view data, you're sending out things like you have to send escape codes in order to send the control code, the colour control code, before you can print the character.
You don't have a fixed line length like teletext.
No, that's right. And in fact, we use that. Obviously, we're transmitting down the phone line. Telstar can be accessed over phone, over internet, and packet radio now, actually. But the idea really is just to cut down the page size. So obviously, all the pages are automatically trimmed where it's not needed to continue. We also do rollovers. So your cursor movement at the bottom, as I'm sure you'll know, will pop in at the top. So if Telstar will do a calculation to find out what's the quickest way to get to a particular place on a page. So we're not sending down the line endless numbers of vertical or horizontal tabs or whatever else. So it does a few tricks like that. Prestel used to do that too. So
yes, because it would have been expensive back in the day to actually access Presto, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, it was expensive. Yeah, I mean, if you went at night, your calls were pretty cheap. But obviously, you've got page charges. I don't know if you can see. We've got on version 2, it's got page cost, which is always 0 pence, but the functionality is there to do that. Oh, there we go. There's a palm tree. There we go.
Yay.
We have our palm tree. There you go.
Yeah.
The iconic one. And it's Telstar Holidays. I like that. It's very good. Very good.
So that's it, really. I don't know what else I can say about it than that. If there's any questions, I'm happy to talk forever about it, really, but I don't want to bore you to death.
Yeah, well, that's what this weekend is for. So.
You can use the same editors.
Yeah, so you can take...
Editor and edit TF.
Yeah, absolutely. But you don't have the save as function. I tend to use edit TF because it's simpler, and it's probably easier for view data editing, rather than this one, which has got a lot more facilities and tends to be overcomplicated for view data. But it does support it. You take the URL, pop it in the JSON, in the content tag, and you just get the page. So that menu page you're looking at there was done in edit TF, as was that Telstar Holidays page.
Yeah. And you've got the same borders around things.
Yeah, everything's the same. Whole graphics. The only thing I would add about whole graphics is that it's the last graphic character you used, so not necessarily the previous byte. So if you've got a whole graphics earlier in a page, this is my understanding.
Yes, there is a little quirk that sometimes it can pick it up from a few cells
which
before.
can be quite useful. You can do a whole graphic on a previous line and then use it later on the following line. So
yes,
like
that's the advanced level whole graphics nightmare, that. So.
Well, it is, yeah.
So.
But obviously with editors like this, you hit the control code, you can see everything, it's great. So,
well, thank you for popping up at short notice, John.
I've got
a question from Jason.
Is there much view data archived?
There is some. I don't have too much. There is a few pages on there which were dragged off a cassette tape. Rob O'Donnell seems to have quite a lot on his view data site. He's got a lot of Micronet pages. We've got a few copies of Micronet on page 800, Tony, and onwards. But generally, he's the guy for all of that. Yeah, I don't know exactly what he's got. I know he's very keen to get it all together.
Did meet him at Wigan. I do know he's put in an awful lot of freedom of information requests to various councils saying, do you still have any servers around? So I think the difficulty with recovering it is it was all on a few centralised servers.
That's right, yeah.
So once they're decommissioned, certainly, and the computers that were viewing them were little more than dumb terminals. They might be able to save a few pages, but memory was very limited. So is that about your understanding?
Yeah, that is my understanding. I think there's still hope that they'll find a GC.
That's my fault.
Yep. So
PC 4000 or 4080, whatever it was, somewhere, you know, with a tape.
so check your garages, please, and your
Yeah.
sheds, just in case.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, so I think there is some stuff out there, but not everything. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's one there. If we go to the magazine, I think somewhere there's a set of stuff. Bernard Cribbins did a voiceover and a cassette was supplied, which provided you with the pages, and it described Prestel. It was a marketing thing. We managed to get some pages from that, which I didn't do, but
It's
some
the
people.
era of machine as well, but also saved tapes. So in theory, if anyone was saving tapes,
That's right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
we could find them, but so far, it's done.
yes,
Yeah.
we're certainly behind the Minitel scene in France in terms of preservation. It's But-
So the next thing for Telstar in the newer version is to try and support Minitel terminals, so that those that have got them can at least access Telstar.
Similar but different. For example, the control codes don't take up specs. There are some funny differences translating through one and the other.
So there's like a page of attributes, isn't there, and a page of the actual
Yeah.
text. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So although it looks very similar, actually that's not it. That is Telstar on that as well. But bring up Minitel later. They look very similar, but the actual way the pages are designed is quite different.
yeah,
So that challenge of
It
everything.
reminded me of level 2, I think. It really it reminded me of
Like
level 2.
that, yeah.
I don't know.
Outside my experience.
well, maybe we can find out a bit more at 3 o'clock. Do you mind an extra guest, Peter? If you fancy hopping on with Tony to
Oh, yeah.
have
Sure,
a chat
of
with
course.
Peter
Yeah,
at
yeah.
3, then you've got a little time to prepare. So,
Repeat it all again. Yeah.
okay.
Good. Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Big hand.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the explanation there. And it does seem that RSS is going to be another dying thing by the sounds of it, where everyone's found out how damn useful it is before it's been forced to be made obsolete.
Well, I think the BBC tacitly approve little bit of new syndication, so I think it's safe enough.
Oh. Lovely. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.